Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat. Here I am and welcome. I hope you've had a really wonderful day. And of course today Prince Harry has launched Travalyst. Yes, who knew? Who knew this was coming? He surprised us again with a new launch of a new initiative, Travalyst. So I did make a video based on Travalyst's website, their own website, travalyst.org. Do go and take a look. The link is in that previous video. And of course what they posted on their own Sussex Royal Instagram account. So we've kind of, some people woke up to this story. This story developed throughout the day. But, Prince Harry has been out and he has been talking about his new initiative, and he made a 13-minute speech. By the way, if I'm looking a bit Casperish, it's because of the window in front of me. But he made a 13-minute speech, which you can find available on YouTube. And in it, he spoke about all the different reasons about why he wanted to set up Travalyst, or rather wanted to set up something that tackled the issue of the impact that we as humans have on the travel destinations that we go and visit. So we're going to be talking about that in a moment, but I want to go and find the chat room and see who is here. So let's go and find that right now. Here we go. I can see the chat room. I can see you all here. Right, I do think notifications have gone out today. Hello to everyone. H. London says, love the info about Travalyst. His speech was great. Anything we can do to protect our planet is good. No, yes, it is good, but I'm replying to another comment. No, it's not the Cambridge Lovers Not tiara. It's the Duchess Augusta tiara, which is slightly different. It's the one that the Cambridge Lovers Not was based upon. There we go. Right. I kind of want to just go into the speech because you can watch my previous video to talk about what's on their website and what is on the Sussex Royal account. Some of those phrases and words and paragraphs he did repeat in the speech, but there was a lot in the speech that wasn't there. And if you listen to it, one of the stories that he told was when in 2012 he was representing the Queen and he visited a coral reef. And there was a young lad who lived there. He was a local, and he came up and he poignantly tugged Harry's shirt, and Harry turned around, and he passed a comment that it's people from his country, our country, it could be anyone's country, who visit that have destroyed his coral. And Harry said that didn't necessarily have an impact straight away on him, but it stayed with him. And he knew that in later years that there's something needed to be done, that little boy had hit the nail on the head, as we say here in the UK, in that people leave an impact wherever they go, and it's not always a positive one, and that people now are actively seeking sustainable tourism. That is, that when you go somewhere, that your visit, your impact there is a positive one. And even though you can take nice photographs and get those Instagram selfies, he's not saying don't travel, by the way. He's not saying don't travel. He's not saying do less travel. He's saying that the travel that you do make sure that it's a positive one. So yes, who knows what actually the initiatives are going to be to do that, but I do know that Travalyst is a network of organisations. The founding ones are all to do with travel agency, I suppose, at the moment, but that network I think will expand and grow, and it's unclear as of yet what they will actually be doing to put, what format that will take. Is it in form of taking money to put back in local communities? Is it perhaps when people are there, they actually do something in the local community? I don't know what those initiatives will be, but it will be really, really interesting to find out exactly what they are in due course, in time. Let's see what people are saying. H. London says, I especially liked Harry's description of his personal travel stories. Yes, and he did say, as in the title of this video, He did comment, he did pass a comment on his private jet use. Now, I don't think he probably would have that necessarily in the speech had we not had all the big hoo-ha that we've had, all the fiasco, all the drama that we've had, unnecessary drama that we've had in the press. I don't think he would necessarily have addressed it so forthright, but I think it's really, really good that he did address it quite forthrightly, and he did defend his position. He did say that 90% of his travel is sustainable, and he does say that he does always, and he has always offset his carbon. Now, obviously, by always, I think he means ever since it was available to do so, because years and years ago, it was not available to offset your carbon. It's only a relatively new thing. So I think what he meant was ever since it's been available to offset your carbon, he's been offsetting his carbon, which is good. And he did say that he did kind of, imply, obviously, by saying 90%, that 10% of that is more than likely some type of private jet or private flight usage. And he did go on to reflect and say that sometimes he does take private jets over commercial flights in order to protect his family and make sure that they are safe. So what he's saying is, depending on whatever the circumstances are, depending on whatever the risks are, he has to weigh up safety over carbon footprint. And sometimes he has to choose the safety aspect over the carbon, but at least he will always offset that to lessen the impact. So he's not saying to everyone, go and take a private jet. He's not saying don't take a private jet. He's just saying be thoughtful about what you do. I think he was kind of addressing the accusations of hypocrisy as well, because we've heard it in the press, they've been calling him a hypocrite and all of that. I think what he was also trying to address in that speech was that, in that sometimes it's a choice, sometimes it's a balance. The choice comes to get the correct balance, if you see what I mean. So he pointed out that it's difficult. It's difficult sometimes to weigh up the whole, being sustainable, being eco-friendly over what you may need to do for your own safety. So he did address that. I don't think it's going to silence the critics. That is the one thing I don't think it's going to do. I'm glad that he addressed it. I think he was very, very fair and open in his comments that he made. Do I think it's going to silence the trolls? Do I think it's going to silence the press? No. We're going to go this one on that. No. I don't think they're going to be silenced. I still think they're going to go for him. But at least he addressed it, and he spoke openly and forthrightly about it, and I think that we can respect. Let's see what people are saying. Why Gordon says, I just listened to the speech. It was really good and very informative. My country, Jamaica, can benefit from it. So many countries. He referenced certain places that had been destroyed by tourism. Let me just see if I can get the Casper effect off. No. He mentioned places in Thailand and all types of different places where, people kind of descend on them and then they just ruin them. And there's rubbish left behind, the coral reefs are gone, the atmosphere is spoiled by too much tourism. And he's right, because some of these places do go like that when they've had too much human interaction that's not their natural human interaction. Hayslundon also says, no matter what Harry and Meghan say, some will criticise or blame those who don't understand the whole story. In fact, some people are just anti-royal, period. That most definitely is true. Let's just scroll back up a little bit, because I'm sure I've missed quite a lot of interesting comments and points. Karen Meach says, surely he can use private planes and others he pays for. Yes, he can, and he wasn't saying it's wrong to do that. And again, I think that's why he was kind of addressing the hypocrisy claim that's been made against him, accusation that's been made against him, because he's saying you can take a private jet flight, but it shouldn't be your first choice. It should be a last resort. So basically, he was saying if he uses a private jet, it's as a last resort because of some kind of reason, whether it's a safety reason or something. There has to be some other kind of reason that would make it a last resort choice. So he's not saying you can't, he's just saying think about it. Think about how you use it. And is it necessary to do so? Alicia said, Harry also said he hadn't had a good night's sleep in 4 months. He did, right at the start. He mentioned, because obviously it's in Amsterdam. Did I mention? I might have forgotten to say, he was in Amsterdam today to do the launch. And he stayed overnight. And he did fly commercial. He flied commercial there. And he did say that he had the best night's sleep in 4 months. Obviously a hint that little Archie may be keeping them up at night slightly, which I thought was quite funny. H. London says, you know Prince Charles was criticised and laughed at for his early advocacy of organic food and sustainable food sources. Turns out he was right. Well, I've got a song about that. Do you want to hear my song? I've been meaning to tell you, Prince Charles has got this feeling that won't subside. He looks at Camilla and he fantasizes. She's his tonight. Now he's got her in his sights with his Highgrove organic pies. One taste of them and you'll feel like you've tasted the skies. Highgrove organic pies. Do you like it? That was my Prince Charles Highgrove organic pies song. Right, okay, back on track. Frida says, hello from Orlando, Florida. We are going through hurricane fatigue at this point. Oh no, all the hurricanes, that is so bad. And also, you know, humans can have an impact, not on hurricanes. Humans don't cause hurricanes, but, well, maybe we do with our environmental impact. I'm not sure. But yes, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone affected by all the bad weather, hurricanes, storms, whatever you may have experienced. Darlene says, very true. He even made Princess Diana change from aerosol hairspray to protect the ozone. Well, at least he knew about the ozone layer back then. My goodness, many people didn't. The J's tier said, I hate that Harry even had to address his personal travel, especially given that all royals have travelled private in the past. I think he had to do it, because if he hadn't have done it, the press would have been even worse. Because if you think about it, they would have gone on that narrative again, that here he was again talking about eco, and especially with it being about travel. The fact is, it was about travel. So if he hadn't mentioned it or referenced it at all, I think they really would have, you know, they'd have gone in, wouldn't they? So I think he felt like he needed to, in a way. But so I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did, because, you know, he hasn't got anything to hide away from. So just say it as it is. Benez says, Harry and Meghan received death threats. They're supposed to put their child in danger to please the masses. Think not. I, for one, prefer the travel private with baby Archie. The crazies are out in force. That's what he kind of... Well, he did reference that it needs to be safe and secure on certain occasions where it's necessary to do so. Let's have a look. I've gone down too far. Let's just go back up. Yeah, people talking about what a troll is. We don't like trolls. They don't live under bridges anymore. They live on the internet. Oh, people like the song. Oh dear. Betty says, Elliot, on the BBC this afternoon news, a royal reporter said that Prince Harry's speech would raise eyebrows, especially his reasons for travelling by private jets. He couldn't have escaped that one, I'm afraid. I think if he'd said nothing, I think he would have got worse. And if he hadn't have, if he hadn't have addressed it, they'd have picked on him. And the fact that he has addressed it, he's kind of allowed them to address it again themselves. It's a catch-22. I don't think he could have done it any differently. It was a bad situation, and I think he made what's the phrase? If life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So I think he's made lemonade the best he can. Alicia says, I thought you meant Harry looks at Camilla and fantasises. No, Prince Charles. There we go. H. London says, I ask those who criticise, would you want to spend your life doing the work the royals do? I often ask that myself. Events and places to go most of the time, raising money for charity, it cannot be easy. And it's forever. It's for life. Look at the Queen, 93 and still going. Look at, look at the Duke of Edinburgh before he retired. What was he, 94? It's forever. Most people retire when they're, 65, 70, it might be for my generation. But 90s, it's for life. Brianna says, brilliant song, thank you. I think I need to make it into a hit, don't I? High Grove Organic Pies. Pam G says, do the naysayers ever really listen to what any royal really says? The message is ignored because they are haters and jealous. Lots of people enjoying Harry's speech. Alicia thinks I'm a good singer. You might need to get your ears adjusted, my love. Mermaid Magic, I like the name, says, did he mention what changes they would do for travel? No, I was kind of trying, to really see if there was clues. One thing, I need to chuck my fan then. One thing, flyaway fan, one thing he did say was that Travalyst would be working with local communities to monitor things. So I think, first of all, before they put any initiatives in to change things, I think what they'll be doing is monitoring the impact and just speaking with local communities to see what's gone wrong. I think it'll be a kind of a finding out what's gone wrong before we can put things in to make things better, if you know what I mean. So I think initially it will be a bit of a fact-finding mission, going into communities, speaking to them, analysing them, and then monitoring what the impact of travel is before you can make a difference. But again, I'm not entirely sure what that difference is. Whether it's making sure that the sustainable travel is carbon offset. If so, where does that money go? Because often people talk about carbon offsetting, but then it's like, where does it go? Does it go into planting new forests? Does it, where does it go? Does it go back into the communities? Where does it go? Even you've got to be wary of some people who might try and rip you off. Some people might be posing as carbon offsetting companies and then just keeping all the money for themselves. So you've got to be careful. So again, I am looking forward to seeing how this develops and what the individual projects are. And I imagine they'll be different for every location. I don't think they might follow a similar model, but I think they'll be different for all the different locations because they're all individual. Sherry N says they should go for other members of the royal family who use private jets. The Duke should take private jets in protection of his family. British media should stop their racist and abusive reporting. One thing I do think is that with the carbon offsetting, it is becoming a big thing now. It's like the cat's out of the bag. I don't think, Pandora's box has been opened. I don't think it can ever be put back in. So people now are not just going to be looking at the cost of royal travel, which it was before. They're also going to be looking at the eco-credentials of the royal family and how they travel. So I said this before, I had an idea for the royal family. I think they should all just come out. I think they should release a statement, all of them, between them, collectively, saying that any royal travel, whether it be private or for work, or if it's to go on engagements, or if it's royal tours, that kind of thing, all of it will be carbon offset. That way, it kind of takes away a lot of the stress, a lot of the trauma, a lot of the hassle out of which method they use. So I think they should say that they're just going to carbon offset every single piece of travel they do. That way, it's all the bases are covered. H. London says, I'm so thankful you present an honest and balanced picture about issues. It is so good you support the Royals. They all work so hard to promote charities, things which are good and worthwhile. They do indeed, and I'm glad you appreciate me. Darlene says, the life of the working royal. Where's your comment gone? The life of a working royal is very demanding and continues until they leave this life. Most never retire. True. You couldn't do it. Way too difficult. It's not everyone's bag. Let's put it that way. Vicky P says he's been working on this for 2 years. Yes. This just proves how hard-working Harry is. And it also proves what goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Lots and lots goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about. All we see is how many engagements they attend. We see that big list of how many official engagements they attend. But what we don't see is what goes on behind the scenes, setting up new projects, writing speeches, just everything behind the scenes that we probably don't even know the half of what goes on. Elise is sneaking in again from work. Hello. Alicia says, I want Meghan and all of the media and reporters and other people who have said bad things about her to have a private chat. And I want them to say it to Meghan's face. Let them see if they have the guts. Oh, do you know what? I had a thought. Ooh. They wouldn't do it to Princess Anne, would they? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh, what do you think Princess Anne would do? Do you know what? I think they're terrified of Princess Anne. I really do. Wouldn't you be? Yeah, no, they wouldn't dare. How they wouldn't dare. Don't do it. They wouldn't dare. They definitely wouldn't to Princess Anne. She'd have their guts for garters. Yes, Sherry, the Duke's speech was excellent indeed. Alicia says, with Harry and Prince Charles and the Queen present. Let's have a look. Right, I'm going to skip all the way down to the bottom and see what people are saying. PJR says, Princess Anne would rip them a new one. I think she would. Do you know, I just don't think they'd even try. I really don't. Maybe it's the hair. I don't know. No, I just don't think they would. H. London says, in the US, the president and family, vice president and family, and members of the Congress travel first class or in private jets, such as how it is. Security demands it for press and vice president. It's not been like that over here for a long time. Sorry, I'm still really, really white. Does it matter if I close the curtain a bit? Oh, I don't. Right, I'll just have to be Casper. But it's not been like that for a very long time. The royal family lost. They used to have a royal aeroplane. They used to have a whole aeroplane that was used for royal travel, solely for royal use, and sometimes politicians as well. It went. Again, we lost the royal yacht. Everything's kind of been stripped back a bit here in the UK. I don't even think we have a prime minister. Do we have a prime ministerial plane? Do we? I don't think we do. So, like, when you see them now going on royal tour, it's usually a British Airways jet that maybe they've booked out, like, the whole plane, but they don't have their own anymore. And I know it's really, really common in other countries, including the USA, to have, all these private travel. But in the UK, it kind of isn't. Those days have got public scrutiny. I dare say by the press as well. The press has, pushed public opinion into thinking that it's too elaborate. It's too ostentatious. Almost too, I don't know, what's the word? It's just considered not good. And I don't know. I think the press has probably put that into people's conscious. So yeah, but no, in this country, it's all been stripped back slowly, which I'm kind of sad about because I'm a supporter of the royal yacht. I desperately want a royal yacht. I love the royal train. I'm so glad that we've still got the royal train. And I really wouldn't have any objection whatsoever to a new royal aeroplane. I'm down. I'm down for it. Vicky P says, hope this wouldn't be an issue on the South Africa tour. I hope the focus will be on the work. I think they will probably take a British Airways plane to Africa, to South Africa. I think that's what will likely happen. H. London says, probably far more expensive to book out an entire plane, but somehow it is politically correct. Yeah, a royal bike. Yes. What about a royal tandem? Maybe they could cycle to South Africa. Pedal on the water. Oh, there we go. That they can pedal to create their... Yes, the bike could be hooked up to the propeller. And they could cycle themselves there. Maybe the press would like that. No, do you know what? I still think they'd find fault with that. Alicia says, I wonder how the members of other royal families of Europe travel. Do you know what? I'm not entirely sure. But I imagine some of them probably have their own plane still. Let me scoot back up the comments just slightly. Yes, I have checked the Travalyst website. I included footage of me reading that in my video previously. Thank you, Donna, who says, thank you for being you and being honest in your reporting. There we go. And I'm scooting all the way down again. Tammy says, I think the word you're looking for is bourgeoisie. That's the one. Madonna sings it. And the bourgeoisie and the rebels. Music. Yes, in that song. I knew I'd heard that word before. I think the royals should have a private jet that they all use, a couple of them for their safety and security for their families. A royal raft, yes. Do you know what? They'd probably moan at a raft, wouldn't they? They probably would, even if the raft was strapped to dolphins, pulling them along. As eco-friendly as you could be, they'd still criticise. Hello to Mitzi, who's just made it. Unique K says, no, I think they should travel private jet to South Africa. It will be the same as the others. It will more than likely be a British Airways flight. Now, they may book out the entire flight because, of course, they'll have to carry all the entourage, their own team, and, of course, usually, I think the jet that they travel on also includes the press. Shockingly enough, I'm sure they actually travel sometimes on the same plane. Cindy says the press has control issues. And Tammy says, I think that, yes, I've read that one. It was a royal hot air balloon. Yes, I'm liking it. It can, oh, do you know what? It should be in the shape of a banana, shouldn't it? Do you know when Meghan wrote on the banana? It should say a lovely little phrase on the hot air balloon banana to the press. Ants on a postcard. What would you put? What would you put on the hot air balloon banana? What message would you put for the press? Leave it in a comment below. Oh, I am cheeky today, aren't I? Roxy says, you make me leaf. Cindy says, I wouldn't let the press on the plane. Maybe they'll dump them out the back. Maybe they'll install ejector seats. Cindy says, I can't. No, yes. You've got to respect our rules. Mikhail says, they'll complain about anything Harry and Meghan does. Bella's rolling on the floor laughing. Okay, write your answers, but keep them clean. Be creative with your language. Elaine says, you really don't want to know what I would write. Well, if you go to my Facebook group, Royal Reviewer and Friends, you can write whatever you want on there. And Alicia says, I would put on the banana, since you're so passionate about the atmosphere, stop breathing. I like it. Right, do you know what? I think that's it. I'm going to have to go. So, I'm going to bid you all farewell, and I hope you've enjoyed my little update. Like I said, do go and check out the video that I made earlier showing the actual website, and do go and visit that as well. Travalyst.org, I think it was. And also you can find his full speech. I think it's the Royal Family channel. I think they have it on theirs. They have the full one because I do believe they actually filmed it. So there you go. So do go and check out the full speech. Go and check out my video. And thank you for enjoying this live chat. We've had some fun, haven't we? Had a bit of a sing-song and some fun. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media and also hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all and goodbye.